God bless and thank you for tuning in to the Bethel Temple Church broadcast. Prepare your hearts and minds to receive a fresh word from the Lord.
The thought for today is purpose. Scripture said, for we know that all things work together for the good to those that love God, who are the called, that's a ED, according to his purpose. And God already has set in motion our purpose. And sometimes, Evangelist Parker, we can hinder the motions of God, and our path is altered when we don't walk in his divine, perfect will. And because of that, there's lives and years and people that are also out of our path because we are out of his will. Someone else have to do or finish what God intended for us. Don't fool yourself and just think that because you're going to wait your time out, that God going to wait on you. It didn't tell God to wait on you. God said wait on him. I think you got it twisted. They that wait upon the Lord. And I began to think about this week, Mother Mosley, Apostle Paul, and I looked in my Wilmington Guide to the Bible in case you want to do some studying yourself in another book. There's other books, but I looked at the 3 missionary journeys that Paul had to walk in over years, over time, but it was his divine purpose, God's purpose, for Paul to walk in that vein. And I just started writing some things down before I get into the meat of the word. We'll probably end up going to the 27th, 28th chapter of Acts this morning, but Luke began to journey with Paul to write or what we're here today. But Paul went from Antioch to Rome. 3 missionary journeys. In between Antioch and Rome, he went to Cyprus, Antioch in Pisidia, Iconium, Lystra, Antioch in Syria, Second Missionary Church. He went back to Lystra, Troas, Philippi, Thessalonica, Berea. Anthony stopped by Mars Hill, Corinth, Ephesus, Antioch again. Why so many Antioch? Because that's where the church was established. 3rd missionary journey, he went to Ephesus, Troas, Miletus. You'll hear a little bit more about Miletus as we go. That was a very unique place because that's where he got bit by a snake, a venomous snake, a deadly snake, but it couldn't kill him because of purpose. Tahi, the devil can't kill you because of purpose. I want you to hear me today. The devil barks, he blows, he sells wolf tickets, but he can't kill you if you got purpose. The problem is we don't recognize we have purpose. So he keeps us bowed down with concerns, over concerns. We're not learning. I heard Sister Price the other day, learning to rest in him. There's a rest that remains for the people of God. It's not that it's remaining because a lot of God's people haven't discerned that there is a rest. If you're worrying, then you're not resting. Lord, am I at rest? No. If you weren't, it was in a situation. If you're not resting, you're worried. Can't be one or two. See? Yeah. If you're still troubled, you're still too concerned. You're not resting. You might have had a good day yesterday, but what about the bad day? You're not resting. You haven't come to the place to give it to God. And I began to look at the different situation Paul was in. When he was in Jerusalem, the Bible says he took off preaching the gospel. Then as he preached the gospel, the people in Jerusalem got concerned, and they said, this Paul used to be Saul, is now on the Christian side. And they had to let him out a basket from people that were trying to kill him. But they couldn't kill him because there was a purpose. Paul had to get to Rome. When you have a divine purpose, you can't be stopped or killed. You can be hindered because you don't recognize your and too many of us are wasting time because we haven't recognized purpose. God told my father-in-law he would give him long life. And so even in the long life, he has the rest in that because there's mother was talking about God's giving a word, a prophetic word some years ago. And she's seen many things come to pass, and she's still waiting on that word to manifest. Why? Because there's and a lot of time we need to just recognize that we have purpose. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time with this because I don't have time to go through the 3 missionary journeys and what he did. But if you go back to the 14th chapter of Acts, you'll find there was a man that was in Lystra that was impotent in both his legs, had never walked. But Paul in the 14th chapter during that missionary journey had to stop through Lystra because there was. And as long as you're trying to be self-sustaining, you'll never meet the things or the people that you need to meet because you're not walking in his. When Paul and Silas was in the jail, in the 15th chapter of Acts, 16th chapter of Acts, the Bible says they was in jail praising God because there was, and the jailer got saved and all his household because Paul was in a place of purpose. Reminded when Paul was in Ephesus talking to his elders in Jerusalem and was going to Corinth and he was moving about and They were whining and crying because he had to leave Jerusalem. But Paul had, he said, I can't stay here. Say, you won't see me no more. He said, but there's purpose. 23rd chapter of Acts, the Bible talks about where Paul spoke about. Let's just look at it. Because we got to understand when we got purpose, there's a destination that nobody can hinder us from. I'm getting old. Now you're just getting right. God can trust you with a little more because you got rid of that foolishness. Your flesh ain't always in the way. Thank you. I listened to that young man sang today. What's his name? Huh? What's his name? Yeah. Sometimes you be around silly people. You got to get away from silly people so you can find your. That song ain't just a song to him no more. God said in the last day, I will pour out of my spirit upon all flesh. Now, when God touches you, you got to take heed to it. If you don't do it, you're going to miss your assignment. When your heart is right, even when you're foolish, God will have mercy on you and say there's purpose. Acts 23. I'm almost finished. I just really want to wind up. I don't want to. I just want to wind up. Pastor Hinton, would you read 23, 9, 10, and 11 verse for me, please?
And there arose a great cry, and the scribes that were of the Pharisees' part arose, and strove, saying, We find no evil in this man. But if a spirit or an angel hath spoken to him, let us not fight against God. And when there arose a great dissension, the chief captain, fearing lest Paul should have been pulled in pieces of them, commanded the soldiers to go down and to take him by force from among them and to bring him into the castle.
Now they wanted to kill him. The Sanhedrin, the Pharisees and the scribes, the high priest, they wanted to kill him. But Paul had, read.
And the night following, the Lord stood by him and said, Be of good cheer, Paul.
Be of good cheer, Paul.
For thou hast testified of me in Jerusalem.
Be of good cheer, Bethel. Fear not, for I am with you. Read.
So must thou bear witness also at Rome.
You got to go to Rome. You're going to Rome. Peter gonna hang out with these folk for a while. You spoke to the Jews. They don't want to accept you now. So I got Peter on assignment to take care of, but you got to reach the Gentile nation. You got to talk to those wicked Romans. You got to reach people that don't want to hear about me. So you going to get to Rome. Yes. Hinton? Yes, sir. You going to get to Charlotte.
Yes, sir. We'll get there.
Why? Purpose. Lord, help me, Jesus. He said, I'm the bread of life. Lord, don't start me. I'm your sustainer. I got your back. I pay your bill. I sign your check. When you got purpose, God got your back. They can't make enough gas companies. When God tell you it's time to come off that job, you got purpose, man, to God. You got to go to Rome. But there's the enemy, sister. The enemy just don't sit on the side. He make you become convinced of what God already said. All the devil do is make you convinced of what God said is true. That's what he does. I'm going to retire. Well, I'm going to let you retire, but now you're going to worry about what's going to happen tomorrow when you retire. Purpose. You got to face the giant, but you ain't facing them alone. Purpose. When the enemy come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord will lift up a standard because there's no weapon shall be formed against you. It won't prosper. Every tongue that rise up against you in judgment, I've already condemned. This is the heritage of the Lord. And the righteousness of me, said the Lord. Let me tell you something. If God give you an inheritance, you don't back off that. That's for the generations to come. There was a man named Nabal that had a vineyard, and the king Ahab wanted to take it, and Jezebel made him take it, and God had to kill both of them, Jezebel and Ahab, because they messed with something that God had given. When you got an inheritance, these children is your inheritance. Lord, help me, Jesus. Give me some volume, man. Purpose. Don't leave here today just thinking you're in church. You got a divine mandate from God. You whining about whose seat you're going to sit in, where you're going to sit on the right or the left. Find your purpose. I don't know what Charles, he must got children church or something. I don't see him. Where Charles? Where? Man, I got to see you don't move here. But listen, one thing I respect about him, and he don't even know it. See, I knew when his grandmama and his granddaddy brought him here that no demon, no flesh could hinder God's you got to understand, when you're spiritual, you can see. When you're not spiritual, you can help somebody fall. But because they're spiritual people, you're stronger, you can help the weak. And so there were times that I would challenge Chauncey, and I would say, son, and he said, well, Pastor, I ain't ready for that right now. And he would say it honestly. And it would first would kind of, see, because you can look at his height, you can look at how long you've been in church, but you still got some folly there. Growing up, nothing wrong with a young man growing up. I got a son 17 years old. He's still a child. Now, he might be 6 feet, 3, 4 inches, but he still don't have the maturation of where God going to take it. So I got to learn to be patient as he grow up, because there's purpose. You can't hold on the reins too tight. You got to let them grow up. Well, we got sidetracked here. In the 27th chapter, and we moving right along, of Acts. Now, prior to going to Miletus, they just had a shipwreck. We talking about we fighting the devil. We ain't fought no devil. That's right. We fighting against our own self. Here, Paul trying to get to Rome, loving God. Ship fall apart. He tell the people, listen, don't go out there. The worst storm is coming upon us that you've ever known. They ain't pay no attention to him. Went out there, they came in on broken pieces. The ship was destroyed, but God saved the people. Purpose. See, purpose. Just because you haven't arrived at you think, whatever you think you call to be, you're still ministering. You're still the salt of the earth. You're still the light of the world. You ain't got to wait till you arrive to live holy. God help me. Present this body a living sacrifice. Y'all take these excursions and then want to get to be used by the Lord. The devil is a liar. Quiet up in here now. Real quiet. I can hear a pin drop. Can't be no Sunday just on Sunday morning. Got to be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday again. Say amen. Amen. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. God help us. He's mighty good. I say he's mighty good. I say he's mighty good. You got to live this thing. Quiet up in here now. I mean this from the depths of my heart. I ask the Lord to take me home. If I got to get out there in the flesh at this day of my time in life, take me on home, because I don't want to be a stumbling block to nobody. That's my testimony. You want to live like that, you live like that. God is too good. I say he's too good to forget. My wife ain't got to worry about me cheating on her. I love God too much. Ain't got nothing to do with her. It's all about Jesus. I feel my help today. These young people need to know that you ain't got to be tied up to serve Jesus. Amen. Gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish, but shall have eternal life. Whether he do whatever he's going to do, it makes no difference, because I got he gave. Jesus gave. He didn't take. He gave, saints. Say he gave. He gave. You always want somebody to give you something. But what are you giving? He gave. And the more he gave, guess what? The more he got. Because he would give more. You can't be God given. Y'all heard, but you don't act on it. Selfishness will keep you broke. Selfishness will keep you begging. The world has become corrupt because everybody taking. And it creeps into the church. Help me, Father. We close, kind of quiet. But even in let me just stop in my leaders. When Paul got in my leaders, the Bible said there was a bunch of barbarians in the place. And they was by the fire. And all of a sudden, this snake jumped on his hands, bit him. They expected him to die. He shook it off. Because there was purpose. Sister Green, there's purpose for your daughter. No weapon formed against you. No sickness that can come from it. Something that's unknown could come to you, but it can't kill you because there's.
Thanks again for stopping by. May God bless you richly.